This Saturday night, it goes down at the Apex Center, UFC Vegas 102. Jared Cannonier versus Gregory Robocop Rodrigues. You also got Calvin Cater on the card and the Bonfim brothers, Gabriel and Ismail, and they got two tough opponents. We got to get into those two fights. So we'll get into those four deep predictions, right? We'll get in deep to those predictions and then talk to you about the rest of the fights on this card. Stay tuned.
Broadcasting live from an undisclosed location. This is the TCMMA podcast with your host, Chris Cross.
Whoa!
Dana White privilege.
Let's go, baby! Let's go! Let's go! Let's go! Let's go, baby!
Dana White privilege. Privilege.
What up? What up? This your boy Chris Cross checking in. This is the TC MMA podcast. And by now, everybody is starting to get past UFC 312. It was a long, long night, right? 10 rounds of action in both title fights dominated by the champion. So now we march forward. We got several. I think we got three actually UFC fight nights before the next pay-per-view. We're in the middle of roughly at least 10 to 12 straight weeks of UFC that I'm aware of. I don't think there's a break until sometime in April. So, hey, we're on the grind. And this week we got a big one in the middleweight division, right? Cannonier versus the up-and-coming Gregory Rodrigues. So stay tuned for that prediction. Some other fights on this card, one I like is Angela Hill versus Ketlin Souza, right? USA versus Brazil. That's going to be an interesting one in the women's strawweight division. Connor Matthews versus Jose Delgado in the featherweight division. That's 7-2 versus 8-1. You got Vieira, 10-2 Brazilian taking on Petroski. That's another middleweight division fight. Petroski 12-4. So middleweight division has been on full display as of late, and it just continues. As we march forward, you still got more middleweight fights to come, including the main event on this one. But let's kick this thing off. Right now in the first fight, I mean, this is just hard to believe if this is true, if it stays this way. But I'm seeing Gabriel Bonfim versus Chaos Williams. Right? Brazil versus USA. And we all know about Chaos Williams. The guy is 15-3. He's looked good throughout his career. Gets some big finishes from time to time, but guess what? He's almost a 2-1 underdog in this one. And that's why, even though this fight might be the first fight of the night, I wanted to highlight it because it's not often we see Chaos Williams as a 2-1 underdog. But Gabriel Bonfim is a good fighter. So let's get into it right now. In the welterweight division at UFC Vegas 102, you got a big one here. Gabriel Bonfim takes on Chaos Williams. And this is going to be a tough prediction. It's Brazil versus USA. Bonfim 2-1 favorite. He's 6'1", Williams 6 feet. Bonfim 27 years old, Williams 30. Williams has a 4-inch reach advantage. Both guys stand right-handed. Now in terms of activity on the feet, it's equal. Both guys 5.8 significant strikes per minute, and they can put up big numbers in that department. Takedown game, Bonfim lands like one takedown per round, but Chaos Williams has an 80% takedown defense. So Williams, and he has no takedowns. Williams is going to want to keep the fight standing where he can at least equalize things and make it an interesting fight. Now Bonfim, coming off the win versus Angelusa by decision, lost to Nicholas Dalby by second round KO. That was a rough one. He had 3 takedowns to none, but trailed 53-39 in significant strikes. So Chaos is going to be looking at that fight and try to repeat what Nicholas Dalby did. Before that, he beat Trevin Giles and Munir Lizez. So the guy's 16-1 and only has a loss against Nicholas Dalby, but that's just going to make him better. And remember, he's just 27 years old, so he's going to be getting better and better every time we see him. So whatever you saw last time, even better this time. Chaos Williams beat Carlson Harris by first round KO. Rolando Bedoya, a 14-4 fighter, beat him by split decision, trailed 149-130 in significant strikes. He did lose to Randy Brown, aka Rude Boy, by split decision. beat Miguel Beza by KO. Matthew Semmelsberger, decision. So he's very close to winning 5 straight fights. So I think this fight is going to be very interesting to watch. And yeah, Bonfim has the edge. I mean, the guy's 16-1, but we know Chaos Williams can finish people. And we saw Bonfim get finished by Dalby. Now he's going to be better than that fight, which was what, roughly over a year ago, November of 2023. So, 15, 16 months before. That's a lot of time to get better. He's going to be ready for the KO power of Williams. We'll probably try to shoot him for takedowns. Williams is going to need every bit of that 80% takedown defense, but I'm willing to gamble on him and say that Chaos Williams can pull this thing out. And I don't usually go against Brazilians, especially when they're the favorite. But Chaos Williams has that X factor. He's getting better as well. He's right in the middle of the prime. And if he's going to beat Gabriel Bonfim, it will be right now. And I think that's what's going to happen. He's going to end up KOing Bonfim sometime in the second round, in my opinion, but at worst, win by decision to move to 16-3, in my opinion. Welterweight division, UFC Vegas 102. All right, so if you're trying to get his hype for a card at the Apex Center, you do it with a fight like this, because this is a fight that I want to see almost as bad as any fight on the pay-per-view card last week, minus the 2 title fights. I mean, this fight is big, man. And we are taking a chance because Gabriel Bonfim is that dude. I mean, he is good. He is good. But Chaos Williams is good too, and he's something special. So I'm going to take him in this one and take a little bit of a chance. And I say take a chance because we don't often go against the Brazilians. But in the next one, we got another one. Got another Bonfim. Ismail Bonfim, brother, takes on Nazim Sadikov. And will we go against the Brazilians in back-to-back fights? Let's find out. In the lightweight division at UFC Vegas 102, you got Ismail Bonfim taking on Nazim Sadikov. Bonfim, Brazilian, 20-4. Sadikov, pretty good fighter from Azerbaijan. He's 9-1. He's also 2 inches taller than Bonfim. He's 30. Bonfim, 29. Bonfim, though, even though he's shorter, 3-inch reach advantage. He stands right-handed. Sadikov stands left-handed or southpaw. Bonfim more active on the feet, 5.8 significant strikes to 4.9, so pretty close. But Nazim Sadikov a little bit better on the ground in terms of the takedowns, getting like a takedown every other round. Bonfim gets one every 3. However, Bonfim, 76% takedown defense. That's big. Coming off the win over Vince Pichel by decision. He had 111 significant strikes in that one, showing he can go toe-to-toe on the feet. He lost to Benoit Saint Denis in a tough fight by submission, but beat Terrence McKinney and Abbasov by decision at the Contender Series. Now, Sadikov lost to Vyacheslav Borshev, oh boy, by majority decision, giving up 143 significant strikes. But he beat Terrence McKinney, which makes it very difficult to understand, but he did it by decision. Then you go back to Evan Elder, he KO'd him. Before that, he KO'd Ahmad Hassanzada at the Contender Series. Both of those KOs were in the 3rd round, so very confusing fighter. I think he should have won the fight against Vyacheslav. I'm surprised that Vyacheslav Borshev landed 143 significant strikes on him, but before that, I mean, you beat Terrence McKinney and had a couple of KOs. So, it's interesting. Now, I don't think he's going to have his way on the ground with Bonfim. Brazilian, right? And if Vyacheslav Borshev outstruck him, so will Bonfim. So I don't see a road to victory here for Sadikov, although he's really good and capable. Anything can happen, but I like Bonfim to win this thing at the very least by decision. Maybe a possible KO, but he's going to outpace Sadikov in this one as long as he doesn't get caught. In my opinion, he wins and moves to 21-4 here, lightweight division. UFC Vegas 102. And I wouldn't be surprised for a minute in both cases of the Bonfim brothers. We're going against Gabriel Bonfim in the Chaos Williams fight. Then we're going for Ismail Bonfim in this one. And I wouldn't be surprised if both of these are flip-flopped. I would not be surprised one bit because both fights are close and highly interesting. But in this one, we'll take the Brazilian. right? We could be wrong on both of them, but one thing I will not do is go against Brazilians in back-to-back fights. Will not do it. So as we move forward, we're going to skip right into the co-main event where you have Calvin Kattar. Haven't seen him in a little while. Taking on Yusuf Zalal, who is a huge favorite in this fight, more than 4-1. USA versus Morocco. This is a featherweight division fight and not a bad fight to watch at all. So let's jump into it right now. In the featherweight division at UFC Vegas 102, you got Calvin Kattar taking on your boy Yusuf Zalal, and this is a co-main event. You know it's going to be a banger. Kattar, 1 inch taller, at 5'11". He's 36, getting up there a little bit. Zalal, 28, right in the prime. Both guys, same reach. Calvin Kattar stands right-handed. Zalal can switch between righty and lefty. That's always an advantage. But on the feet, it's Kattar, 4.8 significant strikes per minute to 2.8 for Zalal. So if he can keep the fight standing, he's got a really good chance to win. Zalal gets like 2 takedowns every 3 rounds. Now, Calvin Kattar, 72% takedown defense. That's why it's a co-main event. So he's going to stop a lot of takedowns, right? But in his last fight against Aljamain Sterling, who's a takedown specialist, he gave up 8 takedowns to none and just got dominated. Lost by KO to Arnold Allen. Lost a split decision to Josh Emmett, which at the time wasn't a bad fight. He actually led 130 to 107 in significant strikes. Now, before that, he beat Giga Chikadze in a striker's delight, 144 to 128. Won that by decision, lost to Max Holloway by decision. So the guy is fighting some beasts. So Law, 59% takedown defense. That won't matter here. He's won 3 in a row, and the names are important. Jack Shore, submission. Jarno Aaron, submission. Billy Q. Quarantillo, submission. So the guy has serious takedown ability, but he lost to Sean Woodson and Damon Blackshear. So very tough fight to predict because Law has a great takedown game, and Kattar showed against Sterling he can't stop the takedowns, right? But against Arnold Allen, he didn't give up any. Well, he got KO'd in the second. Against Emmett, he didn't give up any. Against Giga, he didn't give up any. Max Holloway, he didn't give up any. Dan Ige, none. Jeremy Stevens, none. So, yeah, he gave up 8 against Sterling. But the last time he was taken down was against Zabit Magomedsharipov back in 2019. So you got to consider that as well. It's tough to go with Kattar here because he's 36, but I still believe he's going to win this fight, right? The takedown defense is going to be very important. And it's amazing that it's still at 72% despite Aljamain Sterling getting 8 takedowns. So take Aljamain out, and his takedown defense is like 85, 90%. So it's really good. So I think he can stop Zalal, his takedown game, and keep it standing and get the victory that way. So I look for Kattar to bounce back, even though he struggled over 5 of the last, 5 of the last 6 fights. He's really struggled, but he can get the win here, in my opinion, by decision. He'll do it by defending takedowns, keep it standing, and outpace Zalal something like 80 to 50 in significant strikes. If he does that, he moves to 24-8. He will, in my opinion, featherweight division co-main event, UFC Vegas 102. Yeah, so I guess what I'm saying here is throw out the odds in this one. Excuse me. Throw out the odds. Forget about it. Forget the fact that it's 4-1 in favor of Zalal. Get past it. Calvin Kattar, I believe anyway, is going to win this fight. And let it be known, nobody's perfect. I'm far from perfect. We haven't had a perfect night in all the years we've been doing this. We have yet to have a perfect night. So I always try to add in, sometimes I forget, but I always try to add in my opinion, because anything can happen in these fights. I mean, absolutely anything. The guy that's supposed to win could lose on one punch, and the whole prediction goes sideways in a heartbeat. Speaking of predictions that could go sideways, this next main event is going to be very difficult to predict because you got Jared Cannonier, who is still one of the better fighters in the middleweight division, right? He lost to Amavov, who we've seen now is a legit fighter. Now Cannonier fights down against Gregory Robocop Rodrigues, who is a highly skilled fighter, very capable of winning a fight like this, but also very capable of getting KO'd. And I'm sure I'll talk about that in the prediction. We'll see. But this is one that we need bad, right? We're 3-1 on the year. 4-1 would be great. We're still trying to shake off the rust of last year when we started 2-0 and then found ourselves at 4-7 and just battling throughout the middle of the year, including the summer, to just try to get back to 500. And then we pulled away late in the year. But this year we just want to jump on it early. And 4-1 versus 3-2 is a big difference. So we did not take this prediction lightly. So let's get into it. Cannonier versus RoboCop Rodrigues. In the middleweight division, your main event at UFC Vegas 102, you got Jared Cannonier coming off the loss to a Mavov. He comes in at 17-8, taking on Gregory RoboCop Rodrigues, who comes in at 16-5 from Brazil. So highly interesting fight. Now RoboCop is a tall boy, 6'3" compared to the 5'11" Cannonier, right? So he's 4 inches taller. He's 32. Cannonier is 40. So is Cannonier slowing down? That's the question. Cannonier 3-inch reach advantage. He's a switch stance fighter. Gregory RoboCop Rodrigues stands right-handed. RoboCop 5.5 significant strikes per minute. Cannonier 4.5. So you're looking at 15 to 20 significant strike advantage for the Brazilian. The Brazilian also lands nearly 1 takedown per round. Cannonier like 1 every 6 or 7 rounds. So he's trying to keep the fight standing, but he doesn't have an advantage on the feet. Now Cannonier 62% takedown defense. That could be a problem. It's average, but not great. Lost to Kyle Barajo in his last fight by decision. Nazardine Mavov by 4th round KO. So he's got dominated on the feet in the last 2, like 235 to 147. So not good, not a good look. Before that, back in June of 2023, he beat Marvin Vettori by decision. Beat Sean Strickland by a split decision in 2022. It seems like forever ago. Now, RoboCop 100% takedown defense. Been impressive so far, beating Denise Tiuliulin by KO, Brad Tavares KO, that's a big one, and CLD Christian Leroy Duncan by decision. So he's really looking good, especially in the last 6 fights where he's gone 5-1. Also beating Chidi and Njokuani by KO and Julian Marquez by KO. The only loss there to Bruno Ferreira by first round KO. He just got caught. So tricky fight because I like Cannonier. I mean, the guy's very capable of winning. He can go in there and just finish Rodrigues because it's a little bit lower than his average fight, but he's 40 years old. To me, that's a huge question mark. Can he rise above it? I don't know. I like RoboCop. I like to see RoboCop win the fight. And because he's Brazilian and it's a close fight, I think he can do it. And he's only 32. He's right in the middle of the prime. He's going to have to step up a level here. But winning 5 of the last 6, that says he can do it. We'll see. But I like RoboCop to win this thing by decision. I think it's going 5 rounds. But the Brazilian wins to move to 17-5, mainly on the feet. Look for there to be 2 or 3 takedowns. We'll see if Cannonier can escape. But even if he doesn't, he's going to definitely lose. But even if he does, RoboCop still outstrikes him, in my opinion, to win middleweight division, UFC Vegas 102. Yeah, I mean, so it's pretty simple. I mean, a close fight. We like the Brazilian. I like to see what RoboCop Rodrigues can do in this fight. I mean, to me, he's very skilled, but I am weary about the ability of him being KO'd. And I also know that, yeah, Cannonier's getting older, but he doesn't want to be forgotten just yet. So he's training his butt off. He's going to bring his A game into this fight. And it's no guarantee that RoboCop Rodrigues wins because Cannonier, again, has something to prove here. And he went 4 rounds with a Mavov, and Adesanya didn't even make it, past a round and a half. He got finished early in the second round. So, Cannonier definitely has something to prove. But that's why we watch the fights. Because we make predictions, and, we're right a lot more than we're wrong. But we are wrong. And that just goes to show you that anything can happen in these fights. Anyone who tells you, I know what's going to happen. I know what's going to happen. Like, you don't really know. I mean, my number 1 fighter, Khamzat Chimaev, I believe he's going to beat everybody on the planet, but you never know. I mean, you never know. That's why there's such excitement when our fighters win. So that's the way we see this thing go. Jared Cannonier will fall. To me, he's just getting older. What, 40, 41 right now? So, you know, RoboCop Rodriguez in the building, hopefully getting the job done. But that's the way it looks this week, man. We'll be back. There's usually a little bit of a gap of UFC news 2, 3, 4 days after a big pay-per-view event, which we saw Duplessis retain the belt. And then things will start getting hype around Wednesday, Thursday into this week. People will start to get excited about another UFC fight. Football will be over, obviously, and or is over. And basketball starting to get turned up a little bit, but still, the UFC gets us through our Saturday nights, and that will continue for the next several months. Until next time, or at least Saturday night, this your boy Chris Cross. Have a great day and God bless. Peace.